start. So let's go for it. Hello everybody and welcome to Wowhead Weekly number 157. My name is Annie, or Annie Fuchsia. I am a full-time streamer on Twitch and your weekly Wowhead host. My co-host for the night and every Wowhead Weekly is the lovely Perculia. Let's jump over to her.
Hey, I am Perculia. I am the site director for Wowhead. I oversee all of the news and guides and features and fun data mining stuff on the site. And it's really fun to do the show once a week so we can share all the cool work being done on the site and talk to all the people who use the site directly. So welcome to the show.
Indeed, welcome. Yeah. And this is a day earlier than usual. It's once in a, well, can't say once in a lifetime, but it's something which is happening this week. Perk is traveling, therefore we changed the day for this week. Shouldn't affect the people on YouTube too much, but I know that it does affect the people on Twitch. So in case you're wondering why is Wowhead happening, or Wowhead Weekly happening a day early, this is why.
Yeah, we have a giveaway still as usual because Sass is here. And the prize is a Brightpaw pet, and the keyword is kitty, K-I-T-T-Y. And you just type that in Twitch chat, and you can enter to possibly get a pet Brightpaw. Which is also fitting. It's National Pet Day, and Brightpaw is a cute pet. So
It is a cute pet. So National Pet Day, Sass decides to steal Brightpaw from you, and then he's giving away the pet to everyone else in the chat. Kitty. Yeah, that's really cute. Awesome. Yes, Brightpaw is very cute, the pet, and Perk's Brightpaw as well. Also very cute. Yep. We will not see any Brightpaw tonight, unfortunately, because he is somewhere else, but we have him in our hearts, right?
Yeah, he's with Sass, so if Sass starts typing weird things in chat, it's probably Brightpaw on the keyboard.
Yeah. Or if he forgets to do the giveaway, it's because Brightpaw stole it.
Yep, exactly.
But yeah, so, let's jump straight into the things that we are going to talk about today.
Yeah, we don't have a new beta build, alpha build, whatever, because the last show was Thursday and the build wasn't Tuesday, and I don't know if the build's today because the realms are still up. So I don't know, but we'll go with it. It might be a little shorter than usual. If a build hits right after the show, don't blame us. But we still have some interesting stuff related to like allied races and questing to cover. And Blizzcon, of course.
Something might drop tomorrow as well, right? Sometimes things happen on Thursdays too.
Yeah, it's always like it's usually Tuesdays, but like the Tuesday-Thursday range is when stuff hits. And I wonder if they were really pushing to get everything out on Tuesday before PAX and the release date announcement to have like a kind of complete set of the 6 zones and Azeroth armor. And now they're catching up and they're jet lagged with BlizzCon, and everything is going on. But still have a decent amount of news.
Yeah. The first thing that we're going to be talking about are allied race updates. So I have a picture here to show you guys. Let me see if I can find it. It's a picture that you could see on, I believe it's on their website, right?
Yeah, if you go to the Battle for Azeroth allied race feature page, the bottom part that used to just have the Zandalar and the Dark Iron Dwarves was updated to have pictures of the 4 upcoming races, which include the Mag'har and the Kultiras humans.
And what's interesting about this picture is that 3 out of these 4 races, or allied races, are wearing the heritage armor that we have been able to show you guys in the past. And that gives us a little bit of a teaser on the Kultiran armor, hinting towards that this might actually be the heritage armor for that race.
Exactly. So we previously data mined in January some coats, and we can tell from the BattleNet image that the top part of the coat is identical to what we data mined in January. So we tried piecing the full set together to say, hey, maybe this is what the rest of the set looks like, including the really elaborate belt and, the boots and what the back of the coat looks like.
I have the full potential look now shown on screen as well to remind you guys. And I believe there were some NPCs with similar clothing as well.
Yeah, Lady Elena Norwington And some of just like a lot of the NPCs around the alpha have these fancy coats, so you can load them up in the model viewer and see the basic animations and how the coat moves around on them.
And this is the example picture with Lady Elena, so you can see a female version of the coat as well. I think that's really interesting. I wonder if that was meant to be like a teaser or if they just didn't think about it. But it's a nice little tease for us to see how the Heritage armor will looks like.
Yeah, I'm also interested in the color chosen. We data mined 5 different colors, including green, which is more in the spirit of House Proudmoore, but I guess the blue reflects the Alliance colors more than green would, and that's why they chose blue.
I've actually got pictures of the colors as well right here.
Yeah.
So I've got the green one showing now, and the slideshow should continue on and show the other colors. Yeah. We've got red here as well, and so on. I think there's about 5 different colors that we've got in this slideshow to show you guys. But yeah, that is interesting. I wonder why they did choose the blue one.
Yeah, hopefully it's actually the Heritage armor and not just them saying, oh, we have to have a graphic for the Tyrannihumans.
Oh,
throw
yeah.
this one up. But, I mean, this page has 8 allied races, and 7 out of the 8 are wearing their Heritage armor, so it makes sense that. So with the cool Tyrannihumans, a few interesting things is that they don't have a helm yet, and it looks like there's no shoulders that are part of the coat, so I'm curious how the coat will work, if it's like a special cosmetic piece, or if there'll be like a pirate hat to go along with it. So, you know, just interesting stuff.
That is a good point. I just went back to the teaser, and I see that none of them are actually wearing their headpieces.
Right. But the rest of them do have shoulders that are pretty prominent.
Yeah.
While the Kultiran just has this like big collar on their cape, which I guess is like shoulders, but it's not shoulders.
Yeah. I wonder if they're gonna have shoulders that are like barely visible, just to emphasize the coat feeling. That'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
On to the next allied race. We've got some customization options or customization updates on the Magar orcs. So we've got some more jewelry to show you guys. We've got a slideshow going right here.
Yeah, previously in the dressing room and older builds, we had the base, we had the outlines of the jewelry, but we didn't have the right coloration on them. So, like, the neck piece was just this beige blob, but now we actually have the, like, textures and colors, so we can say, oh, look, it's a necklace with bones, or, you know, there are earrings that are metal, and they look pretty cool. It's nice to see the races keep evolving, because last show we also highlighted the Kulturan human faces getting more options, and I was like, oh, you know, now this other race gets more options. So I think the necklace looks super cool.
Yeah, me too. I was just gonna say that actually. I think the necklace is really cool with the bone details.
Yeah,
I like it.
And if you are new to the allied races, yes, the Magkar Orc allied race can have the Blackrock coloration. The Magkar Orcs are from AU Draenor, and they reflect all of the clans that banded together. So there's been a lot of comments from people asking if we picked the right skin tone or not, and yes, that is one of the available skin tones for this allied race.
Yeah, I thought that looked really good. I see that someone in the chat asked if we're taking questions. We are. If you have a question, you can just at Sass or at Wowhead. I think at Sass might be easier, and yeah, I think it might be easier for him to see it then. Just at Sass, he will take in all the questions, and at the end, we will go through them to make sure that they're answered.
Exactly.
That was it for the allied race updates for now. As we said, there was no major build up, so there's not that many updates. We do have some story updates though, most of them regarding the different zones. Actually, before we mention that, we have a little bit of a small announcement, or you guys may already know about this, but if you don't, all their raid testing is actually starting on April 13th, which is in 2 days. So
the first boss up for testing is Zekvaz, Herald of Nazoth. He looks like an evil Akir. And the interesting thing is that he summons projections of old gods we've seen before. So there's like a Yogg Saron golden thing, and there's a lawnmower in the background. Sorry for the noise.
Yeah, a lawnmower in the raid too.
Yep. Yeah. There's we have the full dungeon journal up, so you can see the different things that happen on difficulties, And yeah, totally a faction expansion. You know, we've got all these old gods being part of this encounter. I would not expect this to be an amazing look at the boss because it's the first time, so there'll be a lot of technical bugs, but hopefully it will let us see what the environment of Uldir is, which I'm really excited about because we've just seen concept art that's black and white, I believe, and we've never actually seen Uldir proper. So I'm really excited to see like the troll aesthetic and, you know, maybe some creepy old god stuff in there.
And together with this, I don't know if announcement is the right word for it. Announcement sounds like it's a big, like, you know, a huge thing. But with this update, with the raid testing being included on the alpha, I have noticed that more and more people are getting invites as well. So I guess they are rolling those invites out more and more so that more and more people can actually test out the content. So it's perfect timing with the raids also coming out so people can try it out and give feedback and whatnot.
Yeah, I know a lot of raid groups are like, oh, but like half of my raid is not actually in the alpha, so we'd like to test this, but this is awkward. So maybe they can invite some more people that do raiding.
Yeah, I know that there were a couple people from my stream who got the invite like 2 days ago or something. So I think there are more and more invites going through without having too much pressure on the servers. I think they are, you know, slowly but surely inviting more people so that people can try it out.
Exactly. So now we have some zone and story updates.
We got some more stories unveiling. The first
do
story
we want spoilers for this, maybe?
I think we might.
Okay, yeah, let's do that.
Or do we? Yeah, I guess to be safe, we could go for it.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll put it up. There we go.
Cool. So, all of the leveling zones are now open on the alpha, and I was playing through them and writing up little summaries, kind of like book reports, about what the major reveals are in each of the zones. So first we'll go through Stormsong, and then we'll go through the Horde zone of Vol'dun. So Stormsong is working with Queen Ashara, which is bad because Lady Ashvane is also working with Queen Ashara. Essentially, how Stormsong used to bless the Kultiran Navy, and Stormsong Valley was the breadbasket for the Empire, but some bad things, as usual, are happening. We go to the monastery, and we see that all the Tide Sages are hostile to us, and their buildings are sort of covered in tentacles. We go to Stormsong, and we see that there are shredders that are murdering the priests, and the laborers are overworked, working nonstop, cutting down trees to make boats. And then we learn that Lord Stormsong and the priests have fallen victim to whispers of the sea that have gotten progressively more violent, so their minds have been corrupted. We find Stormsong, and he's like, you know, forget the oaths, like, I want the great power deep beneath. By its will, we will be whole once more. And he summons an evil, like, underwater corrupted elemental. So stuff keeps getting worse and worse. And then we get a vision where Lord Stormsong is sending ships full of citizens to Shrine of the Storms, where the people are being used as sacrifices for a ritual so they gain more power, so that's really bad. And then we try to stop the ship from being, we try to stop one of the ships from going to Shrine of the Storm and being, you know, used to fuel their power. Along the way, one of the laborers is almost sacrificed, and he gets kind of corrupted, and we're trying to free him, and he keeps saying really ominous stuff in the language of the old gods, like, sails in the fog, a light below, water rising given form, the pain, 4 eyes, the end she rises. So there's something weird going on there. And the story basically culminates where we end up finally making a path to Shrine of the Storm after some heroic sacrifices. We confront Lord Stormsong. There is a placeholder cinematic where something happens, and we come back to find the poor laborer basically turned into like a faceless one aberration, and we have to kill the faceless one, and he has ominous lines like, "No light, no escape, the forgotten king returns. My fall is but a beat in the heart of the infinite abyss." And we take that knowledge to Fort Dalen, who is dealing with a Naga attack, and then that culminates in us facing off against the Pride of Ashara. which is interesting because in the storyline there was talk about a Tide Mother who has artifacts as her wrath and pride, and now we've met the pride of Ashara, and in Eye of Ashara we face the wrath of Ashara. So, was Ashara being like the Tide Mother in disguise, or is the Tide Mother set up as a foil to Ashara because they both have the wrath and the pride? And we know that there is broadcast text with Ashara where she says something like, it would seem you have guessed Lord Stormsong, drown these insects, my children, show yourself worthy of my pride. And then there is a dungeon, Stride of the Storms, where Lord Stormsong is a boss, as well as Volzith the Whisperer. So seems like some old god stuff is going on.
For sure.
So it's interesting to see how this parallels the Horde storyline, where both factions go out in search of a navy, and then bad stuff happens to each side for different reasons. Like, the Zandalari Empire is destabilized by Zul, but then on the Alliance side, they've fallen prey to Ashara, and then, Zul's involvement can also be traced back to Ashara.
Yeah.
So, also in the slideshow, there is a Pepe. There's a little Pepe with a scuba hat.
There it is.
Very important.
Let me zoom it in case you guys can't see it properly.
Yep.
Pepe's right there. He's now more centered. There. In his scuba diving outfit.
Yep. With lovely faceless ones behind him.
Oh, yeah. Oh, the old gods are everywhere. It's really creepy. So we're being reminded. It's like we see Pepe and there's still old gods in the background.
Yep. So we can talk about Vol'dun a little, unless you have any more thoughts on Stormsong.
We can continue from here. I think I showed everything.
Yep.
Yeah, we can continue.
Yep, so the article on Vol'dun is not yet live. I was delaying it in case there was a build, because then the news would get buried, but it will be live really soon. I have the article all written on it, and a video with the quest is already up. So the story with Vol'dun. Oh, there's a guy with an unpronounceable name. So, General Jack Rosette, who is one of the members of the Zanchuli Council that has turned on King Rastakhan, is in Vol'dun, and we are trying to track him down. We find ourselves enslaved in an underground cave along with a Vulpera, and we try to fight back and defeat the Sethrak and make our way back to the Vulpera camp. And we've found some of our search party, including Blade Guard Kaja, but we have not found the person we are after, who is War Guard Rakera. And we keep exploring the desert zone, trying to find her. We learn all sorts of things, like General Zakrazet has ambushed Rakera and their little caravan of exiles. And eventually, we find Rakera at this kind of weird temple called the Temple of Akunda. This is a sanctuary for the exiles in the desert, but it's kind of a weird place because your memories are wiped, and to gain admittance, you have to give up everything, and you have to take on the name of Akunda. So every NPC there is named Akunda the something, like Akunda the Courageous, Akunda the Sorrowful. So it's kind of a troll. And we find Rakera, who's kind of brainwashed and has no memories, and the acolytes are saying, "We're forgetting more than usual, can you investigate this?" We go to the Valley of Sorrows. We find that Akunda is in charge of the spring, and the Eternal Spring is corrupted. We then learn that a hooded figure poisoned the Eternal Spring, weakened Akunda, and this mysterious figure then, subjugated the Loa, so Akunda isn't who we think he is. And that's pretty much traced back to, again, General Jakrazet. So after we restore Rakera's memories, we set out in search again of her plan. We get ambushed by his troops. We eventually deal with that, and we meet up with more of her friends. And we learned something pretty interesting, which is that not all Sethrak are bad. We started out fighting the Sethrak because they imprisoned us, but that is a group called the Faithless, and they are fighting with the main positive group of Sethrak. And stuff gets even worse here because we learn the Faithless are fighting with the Sethrak because they have one of the keys to summon a minion of the old gods, and their goal is to get all the keys, and then they can have this old god minion who they think will give them, you know, domination over the zone. And that gets complicated because General Jacrazet also wants this key. So we have this plan where we will fight back against the Faithless Emperor and take his key, so we will have at least 2 of the keys in our possession. But the problem is we don't count on him becoming an ally of the general. So when we kill this member of the Sethrak, he's like, oh, well, you killed me, but I already gave my key to the general, and, you know, your temple is now undefended, so while you're trying to kill me, he's taken this other part of the key, and oh, look, he's probably summoning the Faceless one right now. Which sadly is the case. So the zone ends with the general defeated, but the old god aberration Mithrax unleashed into the world, and Mithrax is one of the bosses in Uldir now. We don't know too much of what Mithrax does, but it is a Thraxi C''THRAXXI mob, so it is not good to have this boss running around in the world summit.
Not good. Do we know like what boss Mithrax is in order?
I'm not sure exactly. I think it's one of the later ones.
Okay.
We knew that there were 6 at first, and then a later build added Mithrax and Zul, so I think he's one of the bosses towards the end. So I find this so interesting because, you know, everyone thinks the Vulpera are super cute, and there's always this idea that the Sethrak were kind of like evil in data mining and fighting the Vulpera, so it was interesting to actually see that some of the Sethrak are nice, and they're all working together for a change, and it's nice to actually see some factions putting aside their differences and working together with all this war in battle for Azeroth.
And this whole story was unveiled with the questing in Volden, right?
Yep, so last Tuesday, that's when we learned more about it.
Yeah, I haven't done the questing there yet, but I think this is making me want to do it even more. There's like, yeah, like you mentioned, like I feel like, at least me, I didn't know that much about the Vulpera, and finding these different sides of it, like, I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, it's also neat how this parallel Stormsong Valley, how originally you're trying to help your empire, like, oh, you know, things are destabilized, let's find House Stormsong, or let's help this member of the, you know, deal with a member of the Zanchili Council, and then it turns into, there is something bad that sounds related to an old god at the end of this zone.
Yeah, because we had the aberrations in both of them.
Yep. So
yeah, that's really interesting. So those were basically the quest lines that you could find. The first story was the Stormsong Valley zone, and the second one is in Voldern. So you can play it yourself if you haven't already. I know that I haven't done the quest lines yet. I've only been reading about them, but I think now if I do them, I think they would become even more interesting, because then you start seeing all the little details of everything.
Yeah, I've tried to mix up my coverage. Like, I think in the past, when I would cover a zone, we would show the video and then be like, here's a list of all the quests, and it would be hard to understand what was going on. So I've tried to, in the articles, like, highlight the main plot points so people feel motivated to do it. Or if you skip the quest text, you're sort of like, okay, well, like, I've learned that this guy was bad and he died, and you know, it can kind of help you if you were confused about something. So honestly, there are a few more interesting side quests, but I try to cover the main ones.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so the Volden story is not up yet on Wowhead, so I haven't been able to read about it either. So I kind of like heard it for the first time now from Perk as well. Yep. But the first one, the Stormsong Valley one, I did read about it, and I find the what's it called, the summaries really good, because you do talk about each one, and like you tell it like a story, and then it's like as you can see in this quest, and then there's like a link to the quest. I think it's a great. It's not just like, oh, this quest, oh, you do this, and then like next quest you do, you know, X. It's like, it's a storytelling with just highlighting, oh, this happened in this quest. It's great.
Exactly.
I think it's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah.
I think you do really good work, Perk.
Aww.
just have to put that out there. Like, those articles are actually really good summaries. Yeah, I think that covers the story updates that we had from the zones as well. And that means also no more pretty pictures on the screen. Well, they're not just all pretty. I guess sometimes they're creepy as well. But yeah, no more updates within the game, at least. But the next topic, quite interesting. Battle for Azeroth Blizzard updates. So a quick recap. I think we mentioned the collector's editions in the past week, right? We talked about...
Yeah, that was released Thursday morning, and we had the show Thursday afternoon. But we can recap for people. Like, there is a collector's edition. Yeah. $99.99.
Yeah, there is a collector's edition. And for those of you... Wait, I need to remove the spoiler tag. There we go. Okay. I'll give people who didn't see that a second to recap. Next topic here is Battle for Azeroth. As you guys may have known, the collector's edition is now available for pre-purchase. The collector's edition comes with 2 novellas, right? Or is it part of one book?
It's one of those... One sec. It's one book, but it has like 2 sides to it. So this is like the art book, and you can see how it's the Alliance, and then it's the Horde one, and it's split in half. So this is not the book. This is the movie art, but it's a similar concept.
Yeah. So we got the 2 novellas, and I think are the novellas covering more than the part which is now official?
Yeah, so there's the lawnmower again.
I think it's best if Perk describes this part. I feel like she knows a bit more about this.
Right, so the, oh my god, go away. Just chew.
The lawnmower wants to make an appearance.
Yep. So, there we are getting the novel that you can buy on Amazon called Before the Storm, which covers the transition from Legion up to the Battle for Azeroth story. Then the collector edition novellas come in, which describe the events of burning of Teldrassil from the Alliance and Horde perspectives, and those novellas are called Elegy and A Good War. PDFs will be available online, but if you get the collector's edition, you get a hardcover novella that also has exclusive artwork in it.
Gotcha.
And we got a teaser of a few pages from each side, as well as a teaser of the artwork, because a lot of people were concerned that not having an art book meant we were getting no art, so I'm glad that Blizzard decided to show us that, yes, some art was actually coming.
I can actually show you the art right now as we talk about the 2 sides of the story.
Yep.
Let's see. Here. So on the left side here, we have a mysterious elf, which is a depiction of the story from the Alliance side of the story. The Alliance side of the story, was that the one called Elegy?
Yep.
Elegy. And on the right side here, we have a picture of a very, very furious Malfurion walking in, and a lawnmower.
Yes.
And Saurfang kind of being in a sort of very defensive stance. And this is a depiction based on the story, A Good War, which is the Horde side of the novella.
Yep. So in the Alliance story, the excerpt we got, it introduces some new characters, Delaran and Farron and Anaris, and basically there is a Horde rogue ambush, and they defeat the Horde rogue, but they learn that the lawnmower is coming back, and also that they learn that the Forsaken are having an attack on the Night Elf lands, and that it's pretty undefended because, you know, Tyrande is in Stormwind, and all the ships are going to Silithus for the Azerite, so Teldrassil is undefended. And they have this horrible realization, and then the Night Elves are scrambling to deal with the threat, but they have this unease that they will not be victorious this time. And it's in contrast to the Horde story, because there is like an assassin in each one, and in the Alliance one, they take pains to say that the Night Elves like don't believe in torture, while in the Horde one, they are trying to like torture and deal with one of the Alliance decoys. So in the Horde story, there is like an Alliance scout in the Horde camp that's causing a lot of distractions, and it's buying time for Malfurion to confront Saurfang, and I think this is a bit later where the Alliance are more desperate, and he launches this massive spell to like destroy the camp in Saurfang and the inn Saurfang is cornered in, And Sourfang is pretty grievously wounded, but he doesn't seem to die, and Malfurion's full attack is halted because Sylvanas shows up and is shooting dark arrows at Malfurion, and the story ends where it's from Sourfang's point of view, and it just ends as he blacks out. So, big question
leaving us at a cliffhanger. Like, what is gonna happen after that? Like, I feel like the Horde story had like a much bigger cliffhanger, because then we start wondering like what's gonna happen. Like, is how much, or will Sylvanas? I can't even say it. Like, will Sylvanas kill Malfurion? Is that what's gonna happen? And if not, like, how will it play out?
I'm also really curious about Sourfang, because he blacks out as the inn falls on top of him. And in the Burning of Teldrassil concept art, he's very clearly next to Sylvanas standing up. So it's like, does Sylvanas empower him with dark magic or try to res him? And that's why Sourfang tries to put up with her, because he's beholden to her, and he can keep mocking him like, oh, I can raise you again as undead, like I can do whatever I want with my power. So
yeah.
And we haven't gotten any data mine text for Malfurion. Now granted, it doesn't make sense for Malfurion to be doing insults in a warfront, because that's not really, you know, Night Elf behavior, but we haven't gotten a lot of data mine broadcast text from him, so people suspect maybe he won't be around later on, which would be really sad.
Yeah, that would be really sad.
But it could also, I'm also speculating that maybe they're introducing, the Horde story has all these very familiar characters like Sylvanas, Malfurion, Sourfang, and the Alliance story has sort of unknown, brand new NPCs. So my guess is maybe they want to introduce some night elves that are not, you know, hundreds, thousands of years old, and these are like more relatable to the current culture of night elves, as opposed to like, oh, well, this character from Warcraft 3. So maybe they're trying to introduce some new night elves if stuff is happening to the old night elves, although I hope not.
No, I hope not. Hey, we can have new characters and keep the old characters.
Exactly.
Yeah. I also found it really interesting how Sourfang was really, he was kind of almost like he was ready to be defeated. Like he was admitting to himself, like, you know, he can't fight Malfurion. Like,
yeah,
he doesn't really stand a chance against him.
Yeah, it's like when pieces of the inn started to fall around the orc's head, he accepted his death. Against a creature like Stormrage, there was no dishonor in failure. Sourfang simply had to meet his end without surrender.
The importance of honor, once again.
Right. And it ties into the line we got from the later Undercity battle where, you know, honor is still important, and he's just like, please defeat me. Like, he just, I don't know, it's sort of like, orcs aren't meant to grow old, and he's sort of like, I don't know what I'm doing here. Like, yeah, you know, I should be dying in honor, not in these situations where I'm defeated but still being alive and not feeling good. So
yeah, I'm not sure if it's because of I'm not sure if it's because of the interesting characters, like there were more familiar characters in the Horde story, but I do feel like the Horde story was a lot more like immersive. Right. I suppose it did have the cliffhanger as well, which gives it like another extra point, like, but I want to know more. But it is still cool to be introduced to some new characters as well that we were in the Alliance one. I'm
still looking for like that moment showing that both factions are equally petty. Because, you know, the Horde excerpt is talking about, you know, like, torturing the, you know, Night Elf spy, and Sylvanas using dark magic, and the Horde attacking. And then in the Alliance story, it's like, oh, we're trying to defend our lands, and, oh, look, the Forsaken Rogues are using agonizing poison, and we don't torture prisoners. And it's still making the Alliance seem to have the high ground here. And I know Blizzard keeps saying, oh, like, they're meant to show different motivations, but right now, like, it's still, I don't know, it almost looks like cartoonishly evil for the Horde and good for the Alliance, and I was expecting to see more shades of gray at some point, because as I keep reading more, the Horde do not really seem that sympathetic.
And I think in the Alliance one, like, she was threatening to, like, cut off his fingers and such, but I don't think she ended up doing anything, right? I think he actually died by himself. It was like,
they were trying not to do something, and the Forsaken kept insulting the Alliance, and then died, naturally.
Yeah. Which again shows, like, the Alliance character did not really torture him, only threaten him.
Right.
In a way.
Yeah. So interesting to keep seeing how this develops. I hope it gets more nuanced over time. Like, I can't believe that it's like Horde is using evil shadow magic to burn down a tree for no reason, and like the poor night elves, like that love nature and don't like to torture, no longer have a home. Like, I hope that we make in the PAX news section. I have a bullet point that may explain this a bit more, but right now it still is more furthering the narrative that the Horde are very aggressive and the Alliance are more like noble and trying not to kill anyone. And so
I was gonna respond to something. Yeah, about spoilers. I don't think this is spoilers because this is not information that we have found through data mining. This is something which is official news, kind of, or like official.
Oh, it's definitely official. Like Blizzard were just like, "Hey, everyone, here's collector's edition blog.
Yeah.
No spoilers. Just read this now, and here's the artwork." Like,
yeah, like this is the information that's available now, so we're just like reading through it basically. So it's not like a hidden spoiler. It's not like Blizzard held a book somewhere and we took a quick picture.
Right.
Like it's more like a I guess it's kind of like to build excitement. Like now I'm excited to read more about this Horde story, for example. So it's more of a to like just build the story together.
Right. Even like the Blizzard devs and stuff on Twitter were like, "Oh, Legion story is coming to an end. Like, hope you like the BFA story." So it's like we're meant to be. Even they're sort of admitting like, "Oh, here's the first teasers of the BFA story. Go enjoy what we have."
Teaser. That's story. It's a teaser of the stories.
Right.
News. Yeah, it's part of the news. So no spoilers. No spoilers. I'm not sure if there's anything else you wanted to comment on this one.
Just with the PAX news, we can move on to that section, like the little details we learned about the stuff at PAX.
Yeah, we can go on to PAX news. PAX was quite interesting for a lot of different interviews. We had Slootbag's interview. We had some other people as well. I think Final Bots TV, was it him as well, who also had one?
Yeah, Sparty also had one, and there was an interesting written interview by Inven, which is a Korean site that I'm not sure the translation. I'm trying to get an official translation, but they had some interesting details as well that I want to highlight. So, as usual, the devs, they couldn't answer all the questions people had. Like, I think there was a very set amount of topics they could talk about.
Yeah.
But some interesting things we learned is that Queen Ashara, we learned at BlizzCon she is a boss, and we got confirmation that she's going to be the kind of Gul'dan level boss of BFA. So if it's similar structure, end boss of the second raid, not in Uldir, but whatever comes next. And I assume that will be an old god themed raid, because why would Queen Ashara be in, hanging out in like a Stormwind themed raid or something?
Yeah.
So on the alpha currently, Azerite armor traits, you can't switch them around, and that's unintended. You will be able to swap Azerite traits in some way. I don't know if it's like instantly or from you to reagent, but you are meant to be able to change your traits.
And they mentioned again, like reminding us, it's at a really early phase, so it's like basically probably nothing like how it's actually going to be.
Right. We learned a fun detail about islands and warfronts, which is that the advanced AI NPCs can jump, and they wanted them to feel like players, so they jump a lot, and things like night elves and druids are calibrated to jump more than usual because they have little flips.
I find that really interesting because it's like I don't know what it is, but as players we do jump. Like there's nothing, no benefit to jumping, like it's not like, oh, there's a hill, I need to jump up that hill. It's like in PvP as well, in anything, like people just like jumping. And it's funny that Blizzard kind of picked this up and are allowing these advanced AI NPCs to also do the jumping so that they look like players, because if you see someone randomly jumping, it's gonna look like, there's no benefit to it, so it's more likely to be a player than an AI who would be more likely to just do the main quest or main mission of that NPC.
Yeah.
I find that cool. Fun little detail. And especially, yeah, like you said, with the Night Elves, because they have like the more interesting jumps. And Blood Elves too, actually. Maybe they'll get some love there too.
Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone asked about this, and no one got a definite yes or no. We even asked about this too at the media day. But everyone's like, what's up with personal loot? Is this the only form of loot in BFA? And nobody said yes or no, but a lot of examples were given of bad situations with personal loot that they were trying to improve upon. For example, if there was a trinket with a class-specific effect, and you get one, and it's not good for your class, and you want to trade it, but it's personal loot, or suppose, like, you get an item, and the item level, because of the item level, you can't trade it, but it would be better for someone else regardless of the item level. If it's personal loot, you can't move it around. So they're trying, I think they want to solve situations like that first before they, say like, oh, you know, all their types of loot are gone, because those situations currently don't feel very good.
So do you think it's starting to move towards a model where you can't trade anything?
I think they want a model of personal loot, but they want to have you trade loot in those weird exceptions, like, oh, you know, this trinket is 10 items level lower than what I have, and the game thinks that, so like, oh, here's a trinket, and the game thinks it's good, so I can't trade it, but actually, it would be better for my friend as a warrior, and I want to give this trinket to him, but the game's logic says I can't trade it. I think they want to make the game smarter, so if you want to trade loot, you can, even if, you know, on the surface,
it looks like an upgrade.
Yeah, like, oh, this trinket's a 10 item level upgrade. Like, of course you must want it. No, actually, I want my friend to have it because it's better for his spec based on the stats and the type of proc. So I think they want the game to be smarter in deciding what you can trade, and then maybe they'll make a more definitive personal loot statement.
Interesting. Yeah, maybe they'll just make trinkets like not affected by item level, for example, because trinkets are special in that way. A lot of people have trinkets that are a lot lower in item level just because of the effect of it. Another interesting thing is that I've seen them talking about split raids a lot when talking about loot. And if you have personal loot, if you're forced to use personal loot instead of group loot, or master loot, which they're, I think, moving away from, that means that you could potentially do split raids, which would start looking a little bit more interesting. I guess you'll try to, you know, stack, you know, similar casters in one group, another type of casters in a different group, or whatever, you know, to like force the kind of loot that you wanted to drop. But if you can still trade, then you haven't really stopped split raiding, right? Right.
They did say in the Final Boss TV interview, what is the plan for master loot versus personal loot? And they did say a side effect of these you know, changes is addressing the split raids, but the focus of making the raids personal loot was not to address the split raids. That was like more of a tangent. I know people would disagree because it affects them a lot, but I'm just relaying what was said in the interview.
Okay. I'm just wondering if they think split raiding is a big enough issue to actually try to counter it. Because, yeah, like you said, I think in that first interview, they did mention it as a side thing. Like, oh, and this is also good for split raids. But I don't see how it's actually going to stop split raids, because you can still stack similar classes to make sure that you get the loot.
And there's still stuff you can do outside of raid that the devs would probably consider going beyond what, you know, the average player does for preparation. Like, if there's not split raids, people will do, you know, let's grind the Azerite to be higher so we can unlock more things before the first, you know, instance. Or, you know, let's all farm this dungeon so we get the best piece of Azerite armor to drop before the raid. So there'll still be some other min-max thing people can do.
Another thing that's interesting about loot, I'm not sure if it was mentioned in one of these interviews, but someone linked me a little quote about how... I think it was actually a comment on how it is on Alpha right now. So the legacy loot that was mentioned in the past, if you go to a dungeon, it will give you loot according to a whole group. So like it will give you loot for 5 people and not one person, which would, and I think they reported that they got 2 items, and every loot that they got was like usable by them. So it was kind of like legacy loot was personal loot. And yeah, I thought that is interesting, because I thought that they originally said that legacy loot would be anything on the loot table. So
right, before the transmog system.
yeah, because this kind of like, I mean, it's still great. It's better than what personal loot is currently, but it still limits some people from being able to farm items that is not their spec, right? Like if I want an agility dagger for my warlock, I still can't get it with legacy loot. It seems like, at least. So I thought that that's interesting. I'm not sure if I like it or dislike it. For me, it's not that big of a problem because I could just run, with my rogue, and then I'll get 2 loots for that same boss. It's actually still pretty good. But it was still interesting. I wonder how they're gonna tackle that. I do understand the idea of personal loot. I feel like it makes the game cleaner, especially for new players. You don't get loot that you can't use. Everything is for your character.
Right, and it has more flexibility, so it's not weird DKP stuff and, like, like you missed a week, like you can have more flexibility. So we'll see how it turns out. It would be nice if they were less coy and gave us a specific answer, like, yes, we would like personal loot, but we have to sort out XYZ, as opposed to, like, well, like, let me tell you about personal loot. It's like, we're not really answering the question, you're just sort of, yeah.
Because I was thinking if the legacy, if that system is similar in a raid, where I think they said legacy loot would pretend as if you have 20 people, and if the boss only drops like 2 things that you can use, that means you're almost guaranteed to get it.
Right.
Which is interesting. Yeah, just wanted to put that out there since we're talking about loot. But let's move on to the next point here.
Yeah, so this is interesting and kind of controversial. Invin, which is a Korean fan site, had an interview at Media Day. And they sent the interview over to us, but we don't have an official translation of it or the English recording. So some of the word choices might be off, but the gist of it is that people think that Sylvanas is the bad guy and Andrin is the good guy because of how Blizzard promoted this. So when you see the tree burning, you automatically think that Sylvanas is bad, even though it's more nuanced than that. And there will be 3 animations before Battle for Azeroth, so, in the style of, like, the Gul'dan animated art short or the, Warlords of Draenor ones, and they will cover characters like Jaina. You will see a more positive side of the Horde, and you will see that, maybe Andrin was not attacking Undercity out of a sense of justice, but more to make, like, him look powerful. The exact wording we don't know. For example, in the translation, it was like, Jaina may have an abnormal side. And another translation was like, Jaina may have an unusual side. So it's like, well, what was actually said about Jaina?
Yeah.
Like, we don't know the exact word, but we just know that there's animations and, they'll involve Jaina, a more positive side of the Horde, and, complicating Anduin's motivations for retaliating.
Yeah, translation is always difficult in interviews because sometimes that one word can like change the whole light of the meaning. Right.
Especially with faction stuff, people love, picking apart faction stuff. And I think that goes back to the collector's edition where we said, hey, it looks like the Horde is still bad, so maybe in these animated shorts, if one is specifically addressing like the more positive side of the Horde, it can balance things out.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there was any other PAX news that you wanted to cover.
Not really. I mean, there's collector's edition pins you could get there in prints, but I think everyone's seen them that, they've been on social media already, so I think that's about it. We have exciting BlizzCon news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moving from PAX to BlizzCon. BlizzCon 2018. In case you don't know yet, the dates for BlizzCon have been announced, November 2nd and November 3rd. A lot of people were speculating it was probably going to be that week or the week after, but now we have it confirmed. This also means that it is the week after TwitchCon for those of you guys who are traveling overseas like myself. It means that the weekends are back to back after each other, making the trip probably a lot more convenient for a lot of working people out there who can't take too many days off of work.
Especially like, you're in Europe, so it's like, oh, well, now I don't need to be traveling back and forth or have a vacation house to just stay in indefinitely.
It's like, travel to the US 3-4 days, like still jet lagged, go back to Sweden, and then a week later go back there. No, it's nice that the dates are actually getting closer and closer. I remember 2 years ago, the events were 5 weeks apart, and I was actually in the US for 5 weeks. It wasn't too
Yeah,
bad,
that was
honestly.
weird. Yeah.
But it was weird. It was like a really long time. And then after that, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks, and now it's only 1 week.
Yep.
Like getting closer and closer. Hopefully they never like overlap each other. That would be awful.
I mean, yeah, that would not be good for Blizzard, because last year Blizzard threw a really cool TwitchCon party. I've got my mask up there for it, so they wouldn't want that to overlap. It's not good for anyone.
No, it's not. Yeah, and
so,
you
I
can
was
go
gonna
on.
say, we learned when the tickets go on sale. It is May 9th at 7 p.m. Pacific, and then May 12th at 10 a.m. Pacific. So you get all the different time zones covered, and the tickets are $199. They're using the Universe ticketing system again, and the BlizzCon benefit dinner tickets go on sale Wednesday the 16th at 7 p.m. for $750 as usual. And we also learned that community night is getting some changes. We don't know exactly what though. And
Community night?
It's like the talent and the cosplay.
Oh yeah.
All the really creative stuff. They're restructuring it in some form, but you know, this stuff's still happening. And the BlizzCon tournament dates, opening week takes place at the arena in Los Angeles, which I'm excited about because I live right next to it, and that's October 25th through 29th. And do not stay at the Hilton. The prices are really crazy right now.
I've heard even Marriott is more expensive now compared to previous years. I haven't looked at the prices yet, but that's what I've heard.
It's really bad. Like we already have one room booked because the Wowhead party is always the night before. And it's like, well, we need to have a room at the Hilton so we can just like throw all the prizes and boxes, and then sometimes the restroom has really bad internet, so I like having a room as a like mini office. And if that room's too far away, it's a pain. So you need one room at the Hilton at least, and it's like, oh, this is expensive.
Yeah.
It's really too bad. Like, it would be good not to just take advantage of people. And like, we don't even people feel they have to get the rooms now before they sell out, but the tickets aren't even on sale yet. So it's very stressful and expensive. It would
Wait,
be
the
nice.
tickets aren't on sale yet? Or you mean BlizzCon tickets?
Yeah, so the BlizzCon tickets aren't on sale yet, but people feel pressured to book the hotel rooms out of fear that they'll be more expensive or will get sold out, and that's just a weird cycle of making fans like preying upon good intentions of fans. So
story of hashtag BlizzCon.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's just so much interest and so much pressure on BlizzCon, and it's been like this for years, and I guess it's getting more crazy for every year.
Yeah, and one of the hotels, the Annabella, which the Wowhead party used to be at, is like demolished and being turned into a resort, so there's one less hotel around in the area as well.
Something that I did last time was actually I booked an Airbnb with some friends, which was kind of like 5-10 minutes away with a car, and that's something that you guys can consider as well. If you're going not by yourself, especially, you can get a group of friends together and just book a hotel, which is like not a hotel, an Airbnb, which is 5-10 minutes away, and then you can just grab a cab. It's only 2 days, so it's not that bad. You only have to travel twice. But then you do have to plan your days properly and like make sure you have everything with you so you don't have to travel back. I
know. It's like having a room at the Hilton that's like just like a bathroom nearby that doesn't have a line is like amazing, especially if you're working.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And just like, oh, I bought a bunch of stuff from the Blizzard Gear Shop. I can just stick this in my room now, as opposed to now carrying around a gigantic statue for the entire day.
Yep.
So what are your predictions for BlizzCon, for WoW or in general?
Predictions? Oh wait, you mean like announcements?
Yeah, like panels and stuff.
That's a big question. I haven't really thought about it. I think we will, thinking back to like the old announcements of last year, I think Classic will be mentioned again, probably with more details. I don't think dates will be mentioned.
No.
I don't think we're close to that yet. So, but maybe some more preview into like what kind of ideas they had in terms of how they're going to put it together, because there's been a lot of discussion on how much are they going to change with Classic, how much are they going to keep the same, and there hasn't really been any official comment on that from Blizzard.
Yeah, so they can't just do another short trailer and a mic drop, because people will be like, we got that.
We saw that last year.
Like,
it's been 1 year.
Yeah, you need to give us some details on this.
Yeah, like we want to know something, at least like your intent on direction, like how much are you going to change? Like, can we get an answer? I don't think people would be happy with anything less than that. I also wonder if Diablo is gonna get some more love next time. It was kind of sad to see how small Diablo was last time.
I mean, it's not even in the collector's edition for WoW yet, so I don't know if that means nothing is coming because we would have gotten something in it. But yeah, that was sad.
It is sad.
I think we're gonna get like an 8.1 announcement because they kept saying that the whole Karazhan cycle was too early, which means that we probably won't be getting an 8.1 at Gamescom because that would again fit into too early. So maybe Ian will do one of his mega like, this is a presentation for the hardcore WoW players tuning in. Like, here's all the details on one of the middle patches of the expansion type thing.
Wait, you think 8.1 will be introduced at BlizzCon?
Yeah.
Isn't 8.1 the expansion itself?
Oh, no, I meant like the 8. Like, usually the expansion is like 8.00. It's like 8.0 something.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I meant like the major...
Like the major patch. Like, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, like, this is the new dungeon raid cycle we're announcing. I think we announced that at BlizzCon.
Yeah, I think that would make sense as well. Yeah, I think... Wait, so with the numbers... What I had in mind, at least, I might be wrong, was like the pre-patch is 8.0. Right. And then when the real expansion launches August 14th, that's when I thought it would be 8.1.
Oh, that's usually like 8.01. Okay. Like there's an extra 0 in there. And then like the raid patch would be like 8.05. And then the Karazhan patch, was 7.1, but then Nighthold was 7.15. Okay. So it's just a matter of like zeros and decimal places. Yeah. Yeah. I got into the habit when I report them of just like calling like what the patch does because I feel lots of people get confused. So instead of being like, today
it's a lot of numbers.
A guide for 8.00, I'm just like, I'm doing the pre-patch guide. Like this is easier to remember.
Yeah, it is. Better to just describe it instead. Yeah. Too many numbers. Exactly. I do think we would probably have some kind of announcement of like you said, a major raid tier or like a major kind of patch which makes a big difference to things, and maybe even some new allied races. Ooh, I like that. I'm a fan of that. I can imagine that, like some really unexpected, like, oh, by the way, these are new allied races, and it's something that we had no idea of. Because they have to make something like cool and like exciting, because it's like the new expansion has recently hit. There's gonna have to be some kind of classic update, but then there has to be something more exciting. I think allied races would be one of them.
2 years ago they announced all the class mounts, so something equally cool that appeals to the more hardcore player would be good. And I use hardcore to mean like, when you say the announcement for the expansion, you get a lot of people interested. Yeah. But then when you have something like class mounts, your average person watching TV doesn't care about the class mounts, but your diehard WoW players are like, oh my god, class mounts. So I feel that this BlizzCon presentation will be more geared towards the regular players as opposed to like the splashy PR statement. And
what else could come?
I mean, there's always like new Overwatch heroes and cinematics. I always keep thinking there's going to be like a Warcraft-themed event in Heroes of the Storm because they had, the Diablo event and then they had the StarCraft celebration. So I keep thinking we're due for like, I don't know, Alliance versus Horde map celebration thing. So.
Yeah, that'd be a nice crossover.
Yeah. What else? Yeah. I mean, there's always new merchandise they're doing. Yeah, they've also do a lot of like special community things, like having like artists on the virtual ticket now, or like behind the scenes with cinematics, or writing stuff. So we could see a lot of sort of creative side projects at BlizzCon as well, which is always awesome. Yeah.
And if they let us. They let us have, they normally have the PCs available for us as well, which would also make sense with you mentioning that, there might be a new tier or patch or whatever, and that will probably be playable in that case. Or at least a part of it might be playable for people who are there. Yep. I think.
Yeah. So, also with BlizzCon, we have to mention that the Wowhead party, as usual, is the day before BlizzCon. It's that Thursday evening at the Hilton. We have some interesting updates in store because we doubled our attendance last year, so now we're rethinking how we handle like lines and the available space and the types of things
you doubled
we want to do.
and there were still lines.
Yeah.
Because that's actually crazy. I mean, it's great. It means that, a lot of people want to go there. But it's still like, what? We just doubled it and there's still people waiting in line. Because I remember I was going to go to the Wowhead party and I just saw a huge line. I was like, oh, I don't think I'll get in anytime soon. But it's like, I mean, it's great though. It means that there's a lot of interest. It'll be really nice to see how that will be handled this time.
Yeah. So, yeah, Thursday night, interesting updates in store. We also released a little teaser a few days ago highlighting interviews and like little pictures of the Wowhead party. So if you're interested in being part of it or just want to see what it's about, we actually have documentation about the party for a change. So that's really cool. Ooh. So that is all up on wowhead.com/BlizzCon-party. And you can get basic info there. If you are watching and you want to donate prizes or sponsor in some way, we have contact info for that. We're all organized this year. I'm so proud.
Me too. So, sounds awesome.
Yeah. Yep.
And I'm going to be there for sure.
Yeah, exactly. We will make sure you are at the party this year.
Yes.
It will be good.
I will be there. Apparently it's because people tend to line up early. And then after the party starts, the line starts moving pretty good. Okay, that's good to know. Maybe I just saw the line and I was frightened.
Yeah, we're trying to we can't announce anything yet because we have a request for the Hilton for like rooms and stuff to be booked, and we're trying to expand the space so maybe there'll be like more ways to get in, so it's less of a bottleneck. So yeah, fingers crossed. Hopefully it will all work out, and we're starting early. Like I know in past years our website wasn't up until later, and the announcement wasn't until later. But we want you guys to know the party is happening. We're committed to it. We've been around since 2011 or 20. We've been around a long time, so we're coming back. And now that we have Hearthstone Top Decks and Hotslogs part of the ZAM network as sister sites to Wowhead, we may also have some more Heroes of the Storm and Hearthstone community involvement as well.
Awesome. I saw a comment that just said, just have Wowhead party on the beach.
But
yeah, let's just move over to the beach,
Exactly.
Start swimming. No, I'm really excited for the Wowhead party. I think it's going to be awesome. And it's great to hear that you guys actually feel like you're more in, more in power or control of what's happening like earlier on. Because that does lead to a lot more simple things later on. Less stress in the end.
Yeah, like we're going to try to get the pins printed super early on as opposed to October. You may have noticed we had a Noble Garden Wowhead pin, so we're like testing the waters with vendors now as opposed to way later. So we're excited.
Do we know what pins are coming? Or is that secret?
No, we're still deciding. It was funny because we picked the red rocket last year, and as you know, the default, and then the blue rocket as the BlizzCon themed rocket, and everyone was like, "Oh, this is totally Alliance and Horde or Battle for Azeroth." It's like, no, we didn't plan it that way, but
perfect.
Cool. I'm glad everyone likes this.
Yeah, it works out.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's about it for news. It looks like we still don't have any beta updates, so I'll just wrap it up quickly with some interesting community stuff going on. First is thanks to everyone that participated in our Noble Garden Easter egg hunt. We had a ton of entries. I think it was our second highest participation ever. Ooh. And we will try to pick prizes and winners and have that out pretty soon, but I'm glad people really enjoy that giveaway. It's a unique thing we do. We have our latest community opinions article up. This Monday's article was a joint effort on the part of the Ravenholt community, which has a website and Discord and Twitter, and it went over the class changes and state of all of the rogues. So tune in next Monday for another class. We're still picking it. We wanted to see what the alpha build, which class got buffed or nerfed the most before picking it. So hopefully there'll be a build soon so we can decide. We are working on a ton of Mythic Plus guides, again, in partnership with Method, because the next round of the MDI starts this weekend with the top Chinese teams battling it out. So we are up to 9 super in-depth MDI guides, and a few more are on the way. So hope you enjoy those. We'll be promoting them again in a few days once we're done busily formatting them. And we have also started up a new guide series aimed at returning players, and the goal is to write a guide each week that highlights what has changed if you have quit in every single expansion or version of the game. So
That's really cool.
Article starts from the beginning, and it's covering what has changed since Vanilla WoW, and then obviously next week it's Burning Crusade, and so on. So it covers all sorts of things like, BattleNet accounts exist. All races have gotten new models. There are new races if you quit, like the Draenei and the Blood Elves. There are new classes, like the Death Knight. There are new continents. There are, if you use this add-on quest helper in Vanilla, that's sort of baked into the game now. So there are heirlooms. The talent tree is really different. So the goal is to write one of these articles targeting every type of player, and we think it's good timing, especially with the Battle for Azeroth release date announced, and a lot of nostalgia throwbacks like, oh, you can play, a different type of orc or different type of human, or the Warfronts, or like Warcraft 3. So we just think it's a good time to write these sorts of guides for the returning players.
Yeah, I think that's great, because I have people coming into my stream asking like, oh, like I haven't played for 2 years. What has changed since? And I have to like think about it. Like, okay, 2 years. Was that still this expansion? And I can imagine people, and I mean, people even coming in like, I haven't played since Wrath. It's actually a lot of people who come in and like, I haven't played since Wrath. Like where would I start, or what's changed, or what is going on basically. I think these kind of guides will be very interesting for a lot of players coming back.
Yeah,
because like you said, it can be really overwhelming. It's new classes, new raids, new UI to some extent. I mean, some parts of the UI, lots of things have changed since then.
Yeah. So we have a few questions that SAS has compiled. A reminder, we are giving away the Brightpaw pet, and the keyword is kitty, so get those entries in. Some of the questions are from Drorith, who says, do you think the High Elves will become Alliance allied race, especially after Muffinus maybe teased it in your interview? I think everything will become an allied race. Volpera, High Elves.
Wait, did he tease it? Who teased it?
I think I asked if High Elves could be a thing, and he's like, anything is possible, like, let us know if you think it's cool, and the community is like, yeah, this is cool.
I see. Okay.
Let's see.
Another comment on the giveaway is, once SAS decides the winner, keep an eye out on SAS's writing in the chat. You need to respond to him within 2 minutes. So just a heads up.
Yep. Nixton says, I feel like Argus should have gotten a nerf already, so the Argus Mythic mount boost gets cheaper. When do you think the nerf will happen if Blizzard plans to nerf Argus? Final Boss covered this a little bit. He asked us directly, and it was basically we don't know, we're looking at it, but we are trying to do organic things like having, your gear increase, gear level increase, or your trinkets being upgraded to kind of, make you be stronger, so that feels like a nerf as well. So we don't know, but people were trying to ask about this.
And I think also a lot of people are really close to killing it. So I think nerfing it now might be a little bit too soon.
Yeah, it's kind of a morale boost.
Yeah, I think, because it's a really nice feeling if been struggling and then you finally kill something. And then if you're about to kill something but it's been nerfed, then it's not as big of an achievement. And and in terms of things getting cheaper, just wait till the end of the expansion. That's when it's usually the cheapest. Not the very end. The last week or two might be difficult to find a guild with
don't do that.
Might be hard to find a spot. Most guilds might be booked up by then, because you can only get one mount, right? Per
right.
I don't know if did he mention the mount specifically?
No, he did not mention the mount.
Okay, so maybe it's not that important then. I know that as a mount collector I know mount collectors who have been interested in buying boosts to get the mount. If you are one of those people, you need to be careful, because those guilds might actually get booked up, since there's only one mount per guild group per week.
Right.
So if you're waiting until 2 weeks before the expansion, it might be too late. And after that, the mount will go down to a 1% drop chance. So it's good to know. Good to keep in mind.
Let's see. The Great Mew 83 asked, as the Horde mount for the pre-patch was leaked, is there any data mine info on the Alliance mount? So the Great Mew is referring to the Forsaken Fellbet that we mentioned on Thursday. The one isn't necessarily leaked, like the mount page for it, it just added flavor text talking about how it escaped from Undercity. So we don't have a mount entry yet for the Alliance version. We're just heavily speculating that if there are only 2 faction mounts and they line up with the cities attacked in the pre-patch, and one of them references the attack, the other one is likely to reference that as well. But we don't know the official name, and we don't have the flavor text for that yet. I bet whenever the build hits, we'll learn it, but at the time of this thing, we do not know. Norfian says, do we know if we will be able to get the mythic transmog shoulders and helm of Trial of Valor after Legion, because we can only get them by completing the Chosen achievement? I am actually not sure about this. I know that, one sec.
It's a good question. Because I think they mentioned, Chosen was mentioned before the last tier. They mentioned that they were not going to remove it because a lot of people thought maybe they're going to remove it even then, since the tier would be old and easier to obtain. But they kept the Chosen in the game. The fact that they addressed it back then probably means that they will remove it. And if they remove the Chosen achievement, that means you will probably also not be able to get the gear either. Because the gear comes after you obtain that achievement in the box.
It's a little weird, though, because the ensembles on other difficulties can drop from Helia. Which means that you can get the shoulders and helm. So it's weird that you can still get the full sets for, you know, identical appearances, but Mythic, you just can't complete the set later on. So I don't know if they'll change it, because the Chosen is still special if you have that unique title, and if you can get the transmog a different way. Because, like...
That's true. You still stay with a unique title, so it wouldn't be that bad. And it's not like the armor is unique either. I mean, because you have the other colors in the different difficulties. So it wouldn't be too much of a disappointment if you can still obtain the gear in a different way.
Right, and as everyone loves pointing out, the male Uldir set looks very similar to the Trial of Valor set. So.
Yeah, there's that as an option too, then.
Yep. The prize winner is Stormrald, so please confirm your prize.
It seems like he's actually confirmed it.
Yay!
So
awesome.
Congratulations. Awesome. I think he's a guy from my community. Congratulations, Stormrald.
Yep. And I think that's about it. I believe you said there was a YouTube question about Gamescom, because we're trying to always answer a YouTube question with the show every week. So what was the exact question?
The question was from a Daniel, and he was asking if Blizzard will be at Gamescom. And the answer is probably yes.
Yeah, we don't know what they will be featuring or if WoW will be the focus for them this year, but we do think they will be there. Maybe we'll get like a cinematic or like a teaser of, I don't know, a raid coming up, but Blizzard has so many other games, they could make the focus be, you know, another game this year. So,
because Blizzard has been there every year for years now, I think, so there's no real reason for them to not be there, so they will probably be there.
They've ramped up their interest in other conventions too. Like Blizzard was Hearthstone took a step back from PAX East for a few years, and like they were there in full force doing interviews and all this other stuff this past year. So I think they just want to be everywhere, and they used to have this vibe that like Blizzard was only at BlizzCon and they didn't deal with other conventions, and they've really embraced it in the last few years, which I think is better for the community. Yeah,
I think so too, especially when you can't travel everywhere. So it's nice to have Blizzard at every convention, because then you can go to your nearest convention and hopefully see Blizzard there.
Exactly. So I think that's basically about it. I'm just checking work chat quickly to make sure I didn't miss some crisis, and it did not. So yeah, I think that's about it. And yeah, I don't know if we'll have a show next week. We were debating that. I'm staying with my family, and the internet is maybe not great, but if there's like a huge announcement like 10 allied races in beta has started, maybe we could try to do a show and see if the internet is not horrible.
If it's 10 allied races, not 9. If it's 10. Yeah. We might have a show anyways if there's a lot of things to talk about. It does mean that Perk might probably have worse video and sound quality, but the rest of the show should be the same since I will still be at home. So it's still a possibility, but if there's not too much going on, we might skip it to not have like a show with like lesser quality. So it depends on whatever is announced from now until then. So we will see. We'll keep you guys updated on Twitter, regardless. If there is a show or if there isn't, we will let you know.
Yep.
And I think that's about wraps it up.
Yeah.
Thank you everyone for hanging out in the Twitch chat and on the Wowhead front page, everywhere. Thank you guys so much, all the new subscribers, and I think I saw a couple bits here and there as well. Thank you guys for supporting. And thank you guys for the questions as well. It's awesome having you guys engaging with us. Then there's like more things to talk about, which is awesome. And it also, you know, builds a little bit of a communication between us. Sometimes when we're in the middle of telling or talking about something, it could be difficult for us to address what you're saying in the chat. But we try to sometimes read it, especially if there's a little pause in what we're talking about or any other kind of very like easy, relevant way of addressing what you're saying. Then I try to pick out some kind of comment from the chat if it's relevant to the moment.
Yep.
But yeah, have a great rest of night. If you're EU, have a great rest of afternoon in America, or maybe evening.
Yeah, it is. It's 2:30 here, so yeah, afternoon.
Definitely afternoon.
Lawnmowers outside, yeah.
It stopped.
I know. I mean, I don't know how much, like, I have this, like, little parcel of grass in the front. I don't know how much they can mow down.
Anyway, he was just checking, like, oh, is she doing Wowhead Weekly? Okay, let's go. Yeah. Oh, she's introducing herself now. Yeah, let's go. Yeah. Full ham now.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, thank you, everyone, for watching. We will see you guys maybe next week. If not next week, definitely the week after with any other World of Warcraft related news. And congrats again to the winner of the giveaway. And also a special shout out to the people who are subscribed to Wowhead Premium on the Wowhead website. If you're not familiar with what that is, it's a subscription which removes all the ads on the website, supports Wowhead, and also gives you extra perks such as your own color when you're typing in the forums.
Yep.
I'm always reading it, and you all better be content with my participation in this chat. You hear me? This is my domain. Okay, guys, Sass has spoken. Please be nice to him. Yeah. Brightpot is in his possession. We don't want Brightpot to be struggling, okay? Everyone be nice.
Sass needs to post lots of cat pictures. I'm, like, suffering Brightpot deprivation. I'm like, what is this? Like, I can, like, open doors and, like, I don't have to, like, you know, seal off the bathroom and, like, I can eat and I can type and, like, there's no cat around. I don't understand what's going on, so.
Aww. Yeah, let's put some Brightpot emotes in the chat.
Aw, I miss Brightpot.
So we can think of Brightpot. I think I can type it as well. Is it Wowhead Brightpot? There we go.
Yay!
Did Annie learn how to say premium? I think I'm still saying it wrong, probably. How do you say it, Burke? Premium.
Premium, yeah.
Yes. I think the way I say it is the right way. I'm kidding.
Oh, okay.
Oh, rivalry.
Yeah.
No. I have my own weird way of speaking. It's just me. It's just me. But yeah, take care, everyone. We will see you guys again next time. So, bye-bye. Bye. Oh, yeah, my shirt. Dalaran University alumni. I was studying there for 5 years. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Fun fact.